Hey, so this is my kitchen. I'm going to cook some salmon and potatoes. Nothing too interesting, but I kind of wanted to share why I am keeping my life simple, right? Why is it that I am living this lifestyle? So, just to recap, I live on my own. I've got two kids. I live in Sweden, in a small town called Höganäs by the coast, by the beach. And what I like about this town is that it's small. I live in the center of the town, near shops. I don't have to drive so much. So this is part of my simplistic way of living. That when I moved to this town, me and my ex, we decided that we wanted to be close to everything. So we didn't have to drive. We've got a couple of kids, right? So we don't have to drive. We don't have to. So and the kids become more independent, right? They can go to school on their bikes. They can meet up with their friends pretty easily. Anyway, since we broke up, we both remained in the town centre. For those reasons, we share a car. I don't own my own car. So we share a car together. We kind of plan out the times that we are going to use the car for the week. I may use it Monday, Tuesday, and she might use it Wednesday, Thursday. So, and it depends on if I have the kids or not. So, so I live in a small town, and that's, primarily because I want to keep things simple. I work for IKEA. So I've kind of, over the years, over a lot of years now, I've worked as an interior designer. I graduated in London with an honours degree in interior architecture. Worked in various architectural practices over the years, and now working for IKEA as an interior designer. Soon to change my job to like a bit of a salesman, actually. So let's see how that goes. I'm always up for a new challenge. And I'll go into this in a minute because my simplistic lifestyle kind of leads into being able to challenge myself, and keeping my brain, it's like a wardrobe, right? I kind of had the analogy of a wardrobe being full of clothes, right? You can't stuff anything else in there because it's just full. I think our brains are like that, right? If we stuff it full of stuff and information, then where is the space, the room to think, to think clearly about what you want from life, your path in life. So I try and keep that wardrobe a little bit empty. And by living close to the shops, by not buying clothes or very little clothes, by sharing a car, these things really, help on a day-to-day level to keep my wardrobe empty or half empty. So, I work for IKEA. I live near the beach, so I go for nice long walks. Again, that helps to empty that cupboard, to empty the brain, and think in a better way about, and I think ultimately what I try and do and what we should be doing is, what is the next 5 years going to bring for us? I'm 58, right? So I need to have clarity on where my next 5 to 10 years are going to go. I train 4 times a week. I'm with a gym, a CrossFit gym in Höganäs here. So 4 to 5 times a week I'm training. I'm eating, I think, relatively simply as well. New potatoes and salmon, and I will grill the salmon, olive oil, salt, pepper, put it in the oven. New potatoes and maybe some potato salad and some vegetables. So yeah, even that's not that complicated. Um, and I've chosen, yeah. So, and just to go into the reason why I've chosen this lifestyle is because, yeah, my background from London. I just lived a really. I had my own business in London. Super hectic. Was getting a beer belly. I was, in fact, I had a shop, a furniture shop, and it was right beside a pub. And of course, you're finishing up at 8 o'clock in the evening. You're going to the pub and having a few beers to distress. And there was no exercise. I'd do the occasional run or something, and there was just no room in that wardrobe. Everything was focused on building that business, and it was great, absolutely. But what it led to was quite a bit of stress, and I started to develop these really funny rashes on my skin that I couldn't get rid of. I did go to a herbalist, and this was the start. I'm kind of a bit of an alternative therapy guy, and I talked in my last video about cold water therapy. This is where my journey started. I had these rashes, and the doctors couldn't work out what they were, what was causing the rashes. And in my book, it was fairly simple. The rashes were caused by my stress, right? And they kind of said, yeah, maybe. And then I went to a herbalist, a Chinese guy in Camden Town, and he said, yeah, I had too much heat in my body. So too much heat. We need to get that heat down, and drinking herbs, washing in herbs, and also changing my lifestyle. And it was shortly after that we moved to Sweden. So my lifestyle, I made a conscious effort. I had pneumonia as well, and that was another stressful period in my life. Having pneumonia while I was going through doing my degree. So my body doesn't really react to stress that well, and I learned that from those two occasions. So then I thought I need to do things that will facilitate my well-being through the decades, and training and cold water showers and therapy is long walks and living as simply as possible, not overcomplicating my life. So that's how I came to be on that journey. And so Sweden gave me the opportunity to do that, right? I don't know if you can hear those potatoes boiling. Maybe they're making a real bubbly sound here. So that was it. That was the start of the journey, and obviously I needed to put myself into, how do I make that work? How is that going to materialize? And I make a conscious effort every day to keep my expenses low, to hang out with the people that give me something. Far too often, I've kind of hung out with people that just take all my energy. So from a friendship perspective, I'm very conscious about how I am, or what I want, to live a simplistic life. So I just want to go now into the simplicity is one thing, but why am I living a simplistic life? It gives me a good basis for a routine, and the routine is what keeps me healthy in my life. If I have a simplistic life, I have energy and space for thought, and that thought then leads into that routine. So when I'm in that routine, I can walk, I can train, I can do cold water therapy, I can cook well, and sleep well. I think sleeping is also the bedrock for the whole thing, to get good sleep. So that wheel turns, and I'm pretty consistent and I'm pretty good at sort of keeping that wheel turning. But you have to have that routine, right? if you overcomplicate your life, the routine then becomes complicated. You can't fit things in. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I haven't got these hours in the day to do it. And that in turn will lead to really bad sleep. And then if you have really bad sleep, you're just not going to do the things you want to do, right? So it's a really downward spiral, and we want the upward spiral. We want to be going in the upward direction. So keep the routine, keep your life simple, get a good routine, and start making habits of the things that you enjoy, cold water bathing, training, walking, and having quiet time. I love my time on my own, just standing here in the kitchen and doing my thing with the potatoes gives me so much. And now, having the sort of space to do other things, right? I have space to sort of work on my YouTube channel or start an interior design business, which is also something I want to do. So it gives that routine, that simplicity gives me a very good foundation to create and to be creative. And that ultimately is what I love to do. I love to be creative. I love trying new things, and I think my last point here is this all boils down to my true self, right? I want to be as true to myself. Who am I? Who is Ray? What do I want? And what turns me on? What is it that carries me through life in a really good way? So I want to be true to myself and my values. And it all starts with the simplicity of life. And to get to this simplicity and to get into that routine does take a lot of work in looking inwards as well. What is it that I want? Writing down, journaling. Where am I going to go? Every ship has a captain that's driving the ship, right? It has to go from A to B. Another analogy. But if that captain is in the engine room working on the engine, where's the ship going to go? Who knows, right? So we need to be the captains of our ship with an empty wardrobe or half empty wardrobe. So just some things to think about. So I hope I gave you some insights there into how I think about simplicity and what it means to me. And I'm sure there are stuff that I've missed. I haven't really written anything down. I'm kind of in the middle of cooking my dinner here. But I hope that's given you some food for thought. I will continue on this journey of simplicity and routine, and I will show you different aspects of my life, from my training to the cold water therapy. And what we will share together as well is how I do winter bathing. So we are in summer at the moment, so it's not applicable, but as the months roll on now, you'll join me down at the sea and me doing some dips, and how I feel and how that gives me so much energy. Okay, so this is a new channel. It would really help if you subscribe, and if you've got any comments, I can answer your questions as well. But thanks, thanks for joining me today. And my potatoes are ready, you'll be pleased to know. Okay, bye.